Okay guys, welcome to episode 3 of the BNBF Straight From the Table. We are here in Newport at the Dolman Theatre. We've just wrapped up the BNBF Welsh Championships. Our overall has just concluded and we have a new champ and our junior winner, Curious Atunze, who took home best wheels and of course the big overall. And I've probably not seen a bodybuilder as emotional since Ronnie Coleman won his first Olympia. Vic, it was really tight overall. Took you forever to get there, but you got there and we had a winner. Why don't you talk us through how that went down and who the main players were?
It was probably one of the tightest we've had in a long time, where it was very much a split decision. Rob and I opted not to put a paper in because we were involved with two of the people that were in the lineup, so we left it really to the other three to make up the decision. And when the three results came in, the middleweight had one vote, the lightweight had another vote, and the junior had a vote, so it was actually a three-way tie, which shows how tight it actually was. I think Callum probably had it on size overall. Chris would have had it on condition, and Kura's probably had it on sort of the balance of condition and shape, even though he wasn't the biggest. So it was a very tough one. So what we did was we asked somebody to make a change, and they did so, and the junior got the nod over the others. But that gives you an idea how close it actually was. On saying that though, Kura's did get pretty much unanimous on the best wheels. Yeah. So, you know, from that point of view, he took that one clearly, which again is another good reason why he should have probably, when it's a split decision like that, got the overall.
Yeah, cool. Quite a comprehensive roundup. Any of the guys, Davey or Rob, do you want to add anything to kind of how you came to your conclusion?
I just think that, like for QE, shape and flow carries you a long way in bodybuilding, and like when he came out and they actually went the first round through a symmetry, it was like obvious it was him. But then as they started to pose, I think that it took QE a little bit longer to actually get going, to really like hit his shots properly, where sort of Chris was hard from start to finish. And I think that Callum just had that little bit of sort of mass over the two of them, so but with not as much condition. Yeah. So I think you kind of you flick between, oh, do I like the condition, like the size? But as I said, it is a bodybuilding show, and shape and flow will carry you a long way. So that's why he probably got the nod, I think.
Yeah, cheers for that. I think it's nice for the kind of viewers out there to kind of look at, you know, all the things that you have to consider really when picking a winner. Do you agree with that, Dave? Yeah.
I thought Callum in the middles was pushing hard as well, so but it was great to watch, a nightmare to make a decision.
Well, it's not often you get a kind of like a three-way tie, almost three guys in the running. You normally, you maybe split between a couple of guys, but to have threes, it is a bit of a headache. But we got there, and like I say, it was nice to see someone that emotional winning. Because obviously it's bodybuilding, it's a tough sport and it means a lot. Okay, we moved back then to the beginning of the show, and that was our masterclass. It's just two in. We had Pavel Pleva taking that from Darren Shepherd Loxton. So two names. Pavel probably not quite as well known, but he's been around in the BNBF for a long time. He took it from Darren, who's been on the boards quite a few times. Davey, let's talk us through that then.
Yeah, again, I thought it was very close. I think Dan was just a smaller version. Neither of the two of them had absolutely nailed on condition. I liked Darren's posing a lot. I thought he displayed, in round three. But I just think it was a size thing more than anything. There wasn't an awful lot to split the two of them, in my view.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anyone else want to add to that?
I would just agree with Davey. I think that had Darren looked the way he did in the evening show during the day, it would be even harder for us to split them, because at night he was a little bit fuller. During the day I felt he was a little bit empty. It looked like he hadn't quite filled up, eaten enough food to come on. I think he'd been trying to play the condition game and be afraid to overeat. But when you go up against someone like Blavel, then it's always going to be hard when you're a smaller man, and especially if you're a little bit flat and empty. Blavel, I think it's 7 years since he competed with us last, so it's nice to see him back as well. So it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the finals, because he could be good, but he's not there yet. He needs to nail a bit better condition to really be pushing in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that both no slouches by any means, and I think that they're both hard in areas as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you maybe then a few extra weeks of dieting where you'll find, especially for Plavel. His rear double, he was hard in his shoulders, but not necessarily in his back, and hard from the side of his glutes, but not necessarily in his hamstrings or legs. So it's like he had parts, and as I said, I think they both sort of had flickerings with that. And I think they say by any means, Darren, almost looking at that, like how the master looked in the overall tonight, like even better. Again, you think actually he's a very good bodybuilder.
Yeah,
actually,
he was a very good bodybuilder.
It's not just come second to just nobody, if you know what I mean.
Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. So we went from our over 40s to our over 50s, which was actually the biggest class of the day. We had initially 13 guys, one dropped out. So we're down to 12, and we did have an over 70 or one over 70 in David Parry at 73 years young. So he took the invite to go to over 70s at the Britain. But our over 50s was won by John Williams, who looked pretty ecstatic, a bit shocked to be the victor. But nonetheless, I mean, big class. They got moved around a lot, as you'd expect. I wasn't judging, so I'm not going to dare comment on that. Vicky, you were. You can talk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big class. The top 5 or 6 were all good guys. I mean, number 5 and number 6, number 4 and number 5, Paul and Martin were just sort of out the running there a little bit. But both had quite a lot of muscle, and I actually quite liked what they had. And if they came in harder, I think they could have actually pushed quite hard. Paul Bryant, I think, was very well balanced as well, where Martin Cox was really good from the front but not as good from the back. And they were just on the outside of getting the top 5 spots. The top 5 were all strong from the front. My biggest complaint in that class today was that from the front they looked good. There was a real weakness in the posterior chain, and you know what I'm like from my posing from the back. But I really felt that I was looking for a winner that gave me a bit more there, and I was struggling to pick a winner because from the back they were all kind of weak. I'd like to see a lot more strength from the back from these guys. They really need to not be slacking on their deadlifts, their squats, their heavy lifting just because they're older. If anything, they need to be pushing harder to try and maintain that little bit of heaviness through the back and the glutes and the hams. But all in all, I think the top 3 were great. I think it could have gone any way with the top 3, and I don't think any of us would really have argued, because you had Tim, who was probably the sharpest but not the biggest. You had Marsh, who was slightly fuller and slightly off, but had probably a little.
He just misses that little bit of width. Good thickness.
Yeah, and then John, who probably just had the balance of both, but arguably I think the top 3 could have gone anyway.
At the Britain,
No, that was quite a good kind of comprehensive roundup. And just to reiterate again, it was John Williams who took the win from Tim Sharp in 2, Marsh Sleven was 3rd, Glenn Bell 4th, and Adrian Hampton in 5. Okay.
Glenn just condition as well. He's a big guy. Just get conditioned, Glenn.
Okay then, moving on then. We move from the Masters to the teens. Just 2 guys. But nonetheless, a good winner in Ariane Naziri, who took the win from Bartholomew, and I can't pronounce your surname, Bartholomew, I do apologise, but we discussed it, it's fine. Talk us through the winner then. Rob, I'm going to go to you on that. Quite a 2 very, very different physiques then. How did you split it?
Yeah, definitely. The winner actually was really impressed with his condition, especially on a teen. Especially with sometimes when I guess juniors and teens are quite slight, they can end up looking like sort of really empty. But he actually had some real good sharp condition, nice structure, a little bit posing work needed, especially in like quarter turns, things like that. It just made him look super narrow from the sides, where he just basically stood at the side of the stage and turned around in a square. So presentation could definitely be worked on. But I was actually really impressed as a teenager. I think he had some really good shots and really good condition. And the other lad actually pretty good as well. Actually, it was I think the condition on the other guy. Sorry, I've forgotten his name. Arian. Obviously showed, how much further ahead he was than the other guy. But if the other guy was harder, it could have turned the tables as well. So it can definitely improve and maybe even, do it the other way around, I guess, by the Britain time. Could easily turn it. So,
Bartholomew's quite a young teen as well, so he's got potential to grow into it. He's tall and he's young, so he's got a good frame. And as you say, he wasn't a bad teen. He was a good, strong teen. He just was up against somebody that had exceptional condition.
Yeah, and both invited to the final, so they've got a chance to kind of do battle once again with other guys. Okay, then move on to a Masters figure. 2 in the class, but I thought this was really kind of hotly contested. We had Joanna O'Shea taking the victory from Sarah Moraes in 2. Quite a good, only 2 in it, but a good standard of Masters figure. Davey?
Yeah, I think the winner just had a slightly better overall shape. There was, I hummed and hawed about splitting the 2 of them, because I thought it was so close. The winner was maybe slightly softer, but I thought her legs were better, nicer shape, especially posing from the side, and I think her overall balance and shape carried her over the line.
Yeah, slightly more of a kind of natural figure. Just I agree with that, guys. That was the difference. Yeah,
definitely. I think that if she could bring, exceptional conditioning to the final, she could do very, very well. Just that I think she would find it hard in contention. Being that soft for a finals level. However, the amount of muscle she has on her frame and shape was great. So. She needs to just, I guess, come in hard for the Britain and she'll do well.
She will,
yeah.
She
And like you say, they've got the opportunity to do so. So we've moved on to our novice class, just 3 in it. We had a very, very strong winner in Conor Gazard, who took the win from Luke Perham in 2, Gareth Burgess in 3. I saw you nodding there, Vic. You quite liked the look Conor brought to the stage today.
I did. I really liked Conor. I mean, sometimes somebody stands out. I mean, obviously your winners stand out, but Conor to me he's a lad who's just missed competing as a junior. I mean, he's just not managed to make it into juniors and no more. And he stood up there and I thought, when you see somebody that's got that frame, muscle in the right places, if he sticks in, he could be a top competitor. We don't know how he's going to develop, but it was all there. When he posed, his lats were really well inserted low down into his waist, his legs had a really nice sweep from front and back, just everything was there for him to do really, really well. And I really look forward to seeing how Conor comes on over the next little while. I think that he could be a potential potential star in the future, just if he sticks in and keeps going with it.
I thought Luke was quite good as well.
Excellent.
I think the big difference was when they turned to the side. I think Conor just, his glutes, hamstrings, legs overall were just too much.
Mark Flaxton glutes.
Yeah, and just a word on the other 2 guys, in Luke and Gareth.
Yeah, Luke, just a little bit smaller. Again, he looked a little bit over dieted. I felt that he lacked a little bit pop in some of his poses, that maybe adjusting his diet slightly might help him. And Gareth just wasn't quite hard enough to really. He had a nice shape, just wasn't hard enough to take on the other 2. Yeah. But not a bad class considering only 3. A lot of potential there.
Yeah, good standard indeed. Our junior class then was next, and that did produce our overall winner in Kyrus Atunze. He took the win from Joshua Lewis in 2 and Rory Flynn in 3. Kyrus, as we discussed before in the overall, he just has that kind of classical shape and flow, tiny little waist, billowing quads, great shoulder to waist ratio, nice clean condition, clear winner on the day. Rob?
Yeah, agree with all that. I guess really it's very reminiscent of Nate Williams in the lower half for sure. Just for improvements, just needs to continue to get harder really, and it's but he looked great. You can't fault for a first outing. Not much negative to say, which is a good thing, I guess.
He's a very young junior. I think he's only 20, so he wouldn't long be out the teens. So you could forgive someone at 20 for lacking a little bit of maturity, but it's all there to play with.
When you see somebody who's so good and wins an overall, it's hard to criticise them when they're 20 years old. I mean, he does need to improve going forward, and he seems to have that attitude that he will improve. But what a brilliant first outing.
Yeah, a little word on the other guys, Vic.
Joshua was good, just lacked the condition. He mismatch again. He was hard in areas, but had that cloudy look that we sometimes see on stage, where that you can see that they've dieted, you can see they put the work in, but the food balance isn't quite right, and they come in with sort of almost like a layer of fluid under the skin that just hides a bit detail. But potential going forward again, if he can just get that condition nailed on, he'd be a good junior.
Good size, and he's plenty of potential there as well.
Rory just wasn't quite good enough to take on the other 2, but again, not a bad junior, just time. Just a time game for him. He's still young and he's a little bit taller, so it's going to take him a little bit longer to get there.
Yeah, nice routines from the juniors as well. Some pretty class posing there. Okay then, Miss Physique was up next. We had 2 in the class. The win was taken by Sam Quinn, who took it from Nikki Rogers. Vic, it's your class. We always go to you. It was condition, wasn't it, on the day?
Absolutely. I mean, Sam took it on condition. I'll champion Nikki all day long. If Nikki turns up in condition, I think she's got a structure that could be really, really hard to beat. She has good size in her upper body, but she's still not shown me what she's got. I do think she's got potential there. Sam hasn't got as good genetics. She doesn't have as good structure, but she brought the condition today in her legs and her shoulders, and that was just enough to take the class. You couldn't not award someone that put that work in. But Nikki knows what she has to do, and one day she's going to shock me and come in rock hard. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, let's hope so. But moving forward, the beauty is that there are several qualifiers that lay ahead, so people that just miss the mark, they can come in and rectify that in qualifiers to come. We moved on to the open men's classes then. Our lightweight class was first up. This produced a winner in the super shredded Chris Paling from Aaron Bevan in 2 and Mark Lee Loveridge in 3. I enjoyed this class. I thought all 3 guys kind of brought something different. Chris, took it on the day with... He was just too hard for the other guys. I would probably argue Aaron had a superior structure, lovely X shape, huge flaring like lats, quads, not quite in the condition to challenge Chris. And then Mark had a blend of both. Anyone want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think Aaron's one of the best shapes of the whole day. If he can get his condition, he'll be, he'll do some real damage at the British finals. Chris is always rock hard. As we said, Chris's only problem, and it finds him out at the Britain, is just that thickness and width in his back, because he's got everything else. He just really needs to work on that, and that's why someone with a good shape and good condition is maybe going to beat him at the Britain, but can't fault his condition.
Yeah, I would agree. Aaron in condition is going to be a hard person for anyone to beat. Those huge pecs, for a white guy, it's no racism here, but for a white guy, he has got huge, high pecs, which is good to see. Chris, to me, when he was posing in his routine, his posing was really nice. When he was posing in his compulsories, it was almost like he was trying too hard to show his condition, and he kept squeezing down his glutes from the back, which made his back look even narrower and slightly empty. So we can see your glutes are shredded. You don't really need to do that, and it's not doing you any favours when it comes to the compulsories. Whereas in his routine, he didn't do that. He focused on shape and actually looked better in his routine than he did in his compulsory poses. But you can't knock the guy. The condition he gets incredible.
Yeah, he obviously works really, really hard.
And Mark, to be fair, that's the best I've seen Mark. It was it's almost a shame he never got a qualifier for Britain. I think if he came in a little bit harder, maybe in a later qualifier, there's a chance he could, but it really was the best I've seen him come in to date.
Yep. Would agree with that, guys. Okay, our middleweights then. We just had 2 in the class. Callum Mackay, well-known name to BNBF, he took the win from Alan Walters in 2. Kind of liked what Callum brought today. Not the finish article, but signs of definite improvement from last year. Yeah,
definitely heading in the right direction. As I said, even in the overall, I moved him about. Got back to move him about because I wanted to look at him. He just wasn't quite hard enough, to take the overall. But there just really wasn't a lot in it. And I thought there's big improvements in him.
Best I've seen Callum. The absolute best I've seen Callum. And as you say, he needs to nail a little bit more condition. When you saw what the middleweights were like at the Britain last year, he can't come in the way he did today. Qualifier, he's qualified, great. Now take it to the next level. You've stepped up one step, now step it one step further.
Yeah, I think a very good outing for him actually, and I know you're as only good as the person you stood next to. So I think that when you come off a win like this, and by all means, I think he looked great today. Just to really push for that condition for the finals, because you could see from the back, like when he was posing hamstrings, like everything was kind of there. But if you think that was to get that, another 20% harder, that's the really good physique. So I think that he needs to just basically continue on to diet and sort of not take that as kind of I'm improved and that's it. It's just to kind of go for that next step again. But well done, very good.
Alan just didn't quite have the size or the condition to take on Callum at this stage, but I think he's quite raw and he's quite new, and hopefully he'll just learn from that experience. He stepped on the ladder, just now time to climb.
Yep. Yeah, good advice, Vic. Okay, move forward to our heavyweights. 3 in the class. This was taken by John Lovell from Gethin Williams in 2 and Ollie Neil Young in 3. I think just the most balanced physique won it on the day.
Yeah,
Davey.
None of the 3 guys were in condition, but the winner just had the nicest overall shape. Can't remember the guy that was in second.
Gethin.
Yeah, he posed really well, almost like old school, and he had a fairly nice shape. not quite the flow of the winner, but you know, all three guys need to come in a lot harder, like next time out.
I think if you saw Gethin from the front, you would wonder how he got beat, because from the front he actually looked very competitive, but was very much lacking in the back, the glutes and hamstrings again. A bit like the over 50s, I just felt that when he turned to the back, it didn't match the front. And for me to get further, Gethin really needs to bring his rear up, his rear end, but you know, his poses from the back to match the ones from the front, and then he'll be a bit more competitive.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Okay, right. Oh yeah, Ollie in 3. Sorry. Did we comment? Any comments?
Again, just tall, and it'll take him time to fill out. You know, he's got that first time competition. He's come in, he's got a little bit of muscle, but to fill a frame that size is going to take a long time. And I think he just needs to get his head down and do the work. You know, spend a couple of years building some size and coming back. There were no real faults. It was just that he's not quite there yet. Yeah.
Okay, then our final class of the day before that overall was our Miss Figure. We had 5 athletes. This is a strong Miss Figure class in my opinion. We had place 3 and all top 3 were invited to the finals as a reflection of that standard. Katie Bland took the win from Sarah Ridgway in 2 and Becky Mackay in 3. Vic, we had a winner clear on the sheets, but I felt it was a tough class, and we had to wait till the night show to really kind of make our minds up.
Yeah, again, all the classes have been good today because they've been competitive, and this was a good figure class. I mean, it's all 5 girls didn't look out of place. I mean, Ellie, who was 5th, was actually just slightly out. She was soft. If she brings it in, she had a nice structure and a nice shape and good stage presence, so a bit of time and she could actually do better.
Sarah in 4th was very good as well.
Sarah was excellent. Her walking wasn't good. Her T-walk, she needs to put a bit of work in. She was a bit clumsy, and I think that could have held her back from just placing a little bit higher. She needs to learn to just be a bit more flowing on stage. And
excellent front pose though. Her front double.
Absolutely,
was really nice.
Yeah,
that's X-frame all day long. So,
Becky came to see me. I think that's the best I've seen Becky.
Agreed. Yeah.
And again, it's just a little bit more time. She still needs a little bit more in her shoulders and arms to give her that more of a figure X shape. But that was definitely her best outing I've ever seen. The other 2 were kind of chalk and cheese. And Sarah Ridgway, who got 2nd, to me was probably the more natural figure. But what was really strange with Sarah was that in the symmetry round, she was bending that far forward that she actually looked awkward, and she actually looked more symmetrical in the muscularity round when she actually relaxed and didn't do that. But by that stage I'd already marked her down in the symmetry round. So I thought it was very close, but Katie to me just had a little bit more condition. She was very neat. She didn't quite have the X shape of Sarah, but she had a little bit more condition, a little bit more muscle, and just
I thought she outposed her.
Yeah, and outposed her.
Was better,
I think that Katie did very well to show her strengths.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like it was a lot of the same poses, but she didn't need to do anything different, if that makes sense. And I think that Sarah, the Ridgway 20, as you said about the posing size, she actually has got a really good V-taper from the back. So if she'd have stood upright, I think I would have probably placed her even higher in the symmetry round. So and sometimes that's maybe because people are doing other shows and maybe they like a certain way to pose. But I guess you still have to fill the criteria for that it should be an X-frame condition shape flow. That's what you want.
I think Katie's legs as well, they were stand out on the day. She had the best condition in her legs, and she posed them absolutely. And to me that was just sort of what gave the final icing on the cake.
Round 2 as well, Sarah, I think a couple of her side poses just had her shape as well. Like as Sarah was in 2nd, just had her shape, and it didn't do her any favours. So working on her posing as well.
Because she has got a naturally
she
brilliant
has.
figure.
You say from the front and back, brilliant.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what's nice is that ladies can go away. They can kind of listen to their advice, go away, and bring it even better for the finals. So they should be content that the Welsh contingent is going forward to the Britain, with some strength. Sorry, Davey.
I'm just going to say the athletic.
We don't have the sheet because she was only got women in the athletic class, so she obviously was awarded the victory. Susanna, I forget your surname off the top of my head. Quite a good example of figure athletic, I thought, Vicky.
Yeah, just condition again. I mean, going forward, she got the win because she was the only one in the class, so we don't know how she would compare with others. But she had enough muscle, but realistically, when she gets to Britain level, she's going to have to be harder.
She was right for the class, though. She was
Yeah.
she was an athletic,
absolutely,
shape,
yeah.
and she's going to be right for the class. And that was that. We did, of course, then go finish so with the overall, which we discussed earlier, won by our junior Kudos in an emotional fashion. And that was that. Yeah, that was that. And the BNBF Welsh was done for another year. The roadshow continues on. We go to the Southern in 4 weeks.
Central, I think, isn't it?
Is it the Central next?
Central and
It's one of them.
27th of July.
27th of July. We'll see you all there.
Hornchurch.
And Hornchurch, we'll check in for that. And we'll look forward to more action and more great physiques. Yeah, well done. Thanks everyone involved. Thanks to the sponsors. Thanks to Bush and Ryan Howells for being the overall sponsor at our Welsh. Much appreciated, as I always say.
And to all our class
Yeah,
sponsors.
the BNBF does not go forward without you guys. So from us, that's myself, David Kay, Head Judge Vicky McCann, Rob Waterhouse, Davey Hanna. We are out. Let's get out of here. Cheers.
Thanks for
Check in
listening.
soon. Thanks.